Good afternoon. I'm Matthew from the Quanah Road High School, and this is...
Mr. Tranfa, principal at Quanah Road School.
Hi, Mr. Tranfa. Thank you for agreeing to this interview. The media team thought it would be helpful to find out what what you think about the current serial PBL that we are doing at Quanah Road High School. But before we talk about that, we thought it might be helpful to get to know you just a little bit since you are our new principal.
Okay.
Where did you work before you came to Quanah?
So before I came to Quanah Road School, I was the principal at Burke School, which is a middle school that many of you attended. I was there for 5 years as the principal. Before that, I was an assistant principal and teacher at Chantilly High School for about 7 years, and I worked at Centerville High School before that as a teacher.
How'd you like it there?
I've loved every school I've worked at. We're lucky in this county that kids have access to a whole lot of different programming, and I've found something positive at every school I've worked at. Burke will always hold a special spot for me, and the students who attended there know that it is a special place, much like Quanah Road School. And that's one of the reasons I was attracted to come to Quanah Road School.
Also hear you take your dog to work sometimes. Why is that?
I take my dog, his name is Ike. I take him to school to work with me every day. He's been at work with me every day pretty much since I brought him home as a puppy. Initially, he came because I didn't feel right leaving a puppy at home all day. But then the students and staff got to know him at Burke, and we had students who had goals throughout the day, maybe a reading goal or a behavior goal, and they could earn time with him, taking him on walks. And we had staff who just loved to come and spend time with him, and they'd take him around. And he just became a member of the school family, just like your dog at home. And I'm hopeful that the same thing will happen here.
All right. Do you have any hobbies?
Yeah, I have a lot of hobbies. I coach baseball and football for my own children. I have 2 kids. When I have a few spare minutes, I like to go fishing. I like to kayak. And I read a lot. I spend a lot of time reading.
Well, thank you for sharing a bit about you. The actual reason we wanted to talk to you today is to get your thoughts about the serial PBA we were working on as an entire school. This is the first time the school has tried doing a wide PBL. When you were approached by the project by the teachers that developed it, what was your initial response?
So it's funny that you asked me this question because I started here on April 1st, and I was approached basically that day about this project. The teachers who created it were very excited about it, and I immediately thought it was a good idea, something different. It's timely in the sense that the podcast was published I think 2 years ago. It's relevant to students because these are high school students that this podcast kind of describes the situation with them. It's interesting. I listened to this podcast when it initially came out, so I was familiar with it, and I just thought it was a great focus point for a project that would cross all the different content areas. And Mr. Thompson, the former principal, had shared with me how willing to step up to a new challenge the students and staff at Quanah Road were, so I knew that this would hit the sweet spot with getting kids doing something non-traditional and really embracing it, and that's kind of turned out to be true.
Weren't you nervous about approving such an idea, though?
Yeah, I was. There were, obviously talking about a murder case with kids, about kids. It's a little bit nerve-wracking for a principal. Our whole goal is to make sure that you guys are learning the content area that the state puts out. This is a bit of a stretch from that, although your teachers, and you may not even know this, aligned the activities in this project to the state curriculum, and to the Fairfax County curriculum. You guys might not even know that, but what they're doing is hitting all the standards within these activities, which is a very creative way to get you guys the content that you're supposed to get. So I was nervous about kind of a taboo subject, making sure that we were hitting all of the standards, but the staff reassured me that we were going to be okay, and I felt comfortable and confident that it was going to be a really good experience for everybody.
As you observe the students and staff over the past week or so, what things stand out to you? Like, what has impressed you the most so far? Or what moments have you really remembered so far?
I think the most impressive thing has been the ongoing desire by the students who are participating in this project to remain in class and be involved in it. So oftentimes students find a way to get out of class. And what I've heard and seen is that even when students are having an issue or in crisis, their goal is to get back in because they don't want to miss anything, and that's super impressive to me. One of my favorite things about, well, I have a couple favorite things, but I love the crime scene. I thought that was a brilliant idea. Everyone was totally engaged, and I've become very fond of the morning announcements and updates. I think that that's a really creative idea and a good way to keep everyone listening in the morning.
If you were a student, which group would you have chosen to be a part of and why?
Well, science was not my favorite class when I was in school, but I think it was because we sat behind a desk and memorized the periodic table and never got to get up and get our hands dirty. I think that the CSI group has had a really good real-life experience in this, and that would have been something I wanted to do, I think.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to mention before we end this interview?
So, one other thing struck me about being impressive throughout this whole thing, and I would like to note it for everybody. This really stretched everyone, stretched students, stretched staff, put people out of their comfort zone. When we first started it, I had sent an email to the staff asking everyone to be open-minded and to get through the initial grumbles because I really thought this was going to be something positive for everyone, and everyone has stuck to it. I'm really proud of that, and I think that's a credit to the students and the staff here to really give it their all.
Well, you heard it here. Thanks for taking the time to speak with our media team today. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Quanah Road School.
This is Matthew from Quanah Road High School signing off.